take you right back to where you first started, really you're an illustrator. Is that correct?
When I first started?
When you first started.
Started what?
When you first started as a living, because you have actually been a professional artist all your working life, but didn't it start as an illustrator?
I had to earn a living, and so I had to find, in fact, I had a baby and I decided to go down to London, and I went to an advertising agency and they said, you need to go and see people at IPC. And I turned up at IPC, which is the biggest publishers in London, and I eventually found an agent within only 2 weeks, and they felt that really I should be a landscape painter. And if you can do figures, then it'd probably work out for you. And I got a short story within a couple of weeks, and I was scared stiff getting this short story. I had to read it and had to find a way of having this child receiving a box from his parents who's in a boarding school or something like that. And suddenly one day this present turned up, this box, and surrounded by all the other kids in the school. And I thought, how the hell am I going to do this? So I didn't know about photography, so I hired a photographer, went down to private school. I said, could you gather a few of the kids together? And then I got a headmaster friend of mine with a gown and what is it called? What's that flat thing that they wear? And I worked on it, and next minute it was in the magazine, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. Then I got another one and another one, and I didn't really
regarding the figures, was that self-taught?
Figures?
Yes.
Doing figures?
Yes.
No, it was bloody hard.
But was it self-taught? Did you?
I could do them, but not under that sort of duress. I had to learn how to have models to work from.
So self-taught, you weren't actually...
Nobody showed us anything in those days, especially in that game. I hadn't got a clue. I had to learn it all by observing what other people were doing. In the agency, they'd have all the illustrators, all their work all around, groups of them, all the top artists. And I used to walk around studying how the hell did they do it. And then one day I went to a shoot. One of the guys said, do you want to come to a shoot? I'll go, are you serious? And it was Len Thurston, and I turned up, and I could observe how he did it with real models, and how to construct a 4-poster bed out of posts, wood and drapes, and all the sheets of reference that he used to bring in with all the reference on. And I only went once, and I learned basically from that, and I functioned purely on that day I spent in London with him in a proper studio.
And that's how it's continued. That's the way you.
Yeah, it is a formula. You've got to learn the formula. A formula is not easy to get, and no one's going to fix you at all. You've got to work it out yourself. So then you spend all your time in bookshops trying to see what the other guys are doing. So I knew every bookshop in London basically, and I used to go in there, and I knew all the artists by just seeing the spine on the shelf. I knew who was doing what and everything. Hard observation, and that's how I did it.
And was that mainly book covers?
Now the book covers came later. They were quite much more sophisticated things to do, because you had a writer creating a novel, and you get the job of doing these paintings on the front of their books, And the only way I could get around that was to get to know the writer. So I used to have amazing conversations with his writers, meet them in London and discuss.
And who were the main writers?
In those days, Claire Rayners, Edwina, I didn't meet her, but I spent an hour on the phone with her one night. Edwina Curry, and lots of Yorkshire Milltown, you know, which is rags to riches type girls, like Catherine Cooksons of this world, and they fed me information. So I created a picture in my mind what we should put on the cover, and it always worked.